Hello, here we are again, another video. Today I want to talk about a touching subject and it is a bit sensitive to some people. Um, we're going to talk about miscarriage today. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that's gone through a miscarriage, and like without being disrespectful to anybody, it seems to be, there's a lot of women that goes through it, but kind of forget about like the men's side of it and how the dads out there kind of deal with things. I want to hit you some statistics to start with, as I always do. Um, According to the NHS .uk website, 1 in 8 pregnancies end in miscarriage, but that's based on people that reported the miscarriages. So there's probably a higher number out there. Um, Apparently, according to the NHS website, losing 3 or more pregnancies is uncommon. Around 1 in 100 women, and just to let you know some reassurances, majority of miscarriages can't be prevented. Um, Majority of miscarriages are caused by abnormal chromosomes in the baby, which means like you get 23 chromosomes in a human, so they'll either have less or more. That's the main cause of miscarriage. Obviously, some other factors are out there, like people who use drugs and alcohol, or have accidents, or these other things. But majority of the causes are um, an abnormal chromosome number. What I'm going to talk about today is I know a lot of people have had their own experience of miscarriage, and it's sad at the best of times. But obviously, everyone's different, and they go through some scenarios a bit different to others. Now, like from my point of view, I can only speak from my own experience, obviously, and people that I've known people to go through it too. But from my own experience, me and my partner, we've lost 7. We've had 7 miscarriages. Now, everyone was different. They say you never forget your first, but I'll be honest with you, we had one that stood out from all of the others. I mean, and we've been through D&Cs, we've been through getting the pessary to kind of promote it along, but one stood out more than the others. I'll never forget it. I remember we went for our scan. We were super excited. We were trying for my daughter. I think my youngest daughter. Um, I just remember we went for a scan, um, and by the time we have early scans because my son was premature, so um, we had earlier scans throughout it, and there was a sac there, but there was no baby inside. And because they couldn't verify exactly how long we were, we had to go back every week for around 6 weeks, 7 weeks. That's a lot of scans, man. I mean, every week it was just we were heartbroken, and it was like not false hope, but it was kind of like, oh well, it still could develop because every week it grew bigger. Um, then they seen something inside that looked like a fetal pole, but it's kind of like there was no heartbeat. But they have guidelines. It's got to be a certain size, and it's got to have something developed before they can actually terminate a fake. Well, that's not fake, but terminate an unsuccessful pregnancy is a better wording. And I just remember every week we'd go along hoping for the best. Well, the inevitable was never. I always remember the week before the last week of the scan. Um, we actually said to a midwife, look, we can't physically, mentally do this. Like, what do we have to do to get termination here, because it's not successful, and it's just playing with our emotions every week. And they refused. They were like, well, you can opt to do it, but we can't. Okay, just give it another week. And that's basically all we heard the whole time through. Just give it another week, see how it goes, be positive. After about the third week, I think the positivity kind of had long gone, Yeah, it was cruel. It was cruel. Um, yeah, it was kind of like it was like being stuck in limbo. You're just going around the same process again and again and again to get told the same rubbish again and again and again. And I'm not saying that like they have their own policies. Do you get what I mean? It's I get that they've got guidelines that they've got to follow, but it's kind of like where's the like the humanity in this? Where's the understanding on our point of view? It kind of lacked any kind of person-centered approach to us as parents or us as human beings in a sense, because it went off just guidelines. I remember every week, a lot of the nights, having to sit there comforting my partner and trying to be the strong one, inside, trying to hold it together. I remember coming downstairs one night when she was asleep and sitting crying because I didn't know if I could continue like doing the same stuff, reassuring her, being positive, when inside I knew what was coming. It's so hard seeing someone that you love physically broken, physically in emotional pain. The comfort that there's only so much you can give. I mean, sitting in the room listening to the midwife going through things, telling you about growth, but the reality of it wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? I always remember when it was like the final days and then we pushed it and she gave us the pessary. It was sad to know that the pregnancy was ending, but it was relief at the same time, and it was such an overwhelming amount of emotions in it. I think that one took a good few months, probably still to this day. We're not, she's definitely not 100% like over what had happened. I mean, like, you never forget, but you do learn to move on, and it did have a massive effect on our lives, kind of thing. It's a funny one, really, because all through her pregnancy she suffered with something called cholestasis, which is, I'm still not 100% sure of what it was. I know she got itchy a lot, and it was me that pointed it out. I was like, you seem to be itching a lot in the middle of the doctors, and that's how we found out we had it. And that with cholestasis, it's kind of you generally they bring the baby a lot earlier. So my youngest son was like just a little over 4 weeks earlier. I mean, he was tiny, but my daughter was I think 3 weeks earlier, I think. I always remember when we went for the D&C, it was kind of like, because she'd had the pessaries and nothing came out. Well, she lost a bit of blood, but nothing really came out. So she opted to go and get the D&C, which removes any pregnancy tissue from inside you. And when she woke up, it was horrendous. I remember walking her downstairs. She went for a cigarette, and then on the way up, she collapsed on the floor. Some things will never leave you in life, some memories will never leave you in life. And I know they say, look, your bad memories will always stick with you, but it's kind of a memory that it'll never leave our side, and no matter how many times you openly talk about it, it's never ever going to get any better. From the man's point of view, every week, like I said, every week, through all of the miscarriages, it was kind of a false hope, you know. It's nothing on the midwives that kind of gave us all the information. I mean, I get that they're only doing the job and stuff like that. They were fantastic throughout our pregnancies. I mean, um, we had the most fantastic midwife that looked after us. She's actually the head of the midwifery department. She was fantastic. We still stay in touch to this day. You know, I couldn't thank them enough. But at the same time, it was kind of, when we were successful, the worry was ridiculous. You know, anytime she never felt a heartbeat or any movement, because we had this little device thing that you put on your stomach and you can hear the baby. Now, if she couldn't find it one day, we were in the hospital constantly. I mean, I swear the worst things you can have, the Dopplers, that's what they're called, the Dopplers. They're the worst thing we could ever have, because for me, it was reassuring at times, but then other times it wasn't reassuring at all. If anything, it made us more worry in that sense. So the second time round, we used it. We did have one. We used it towards the end, so we could definitely, do you know what I mean? Whereas in the first one, we used it at the beginning, and it was the stupidest thing we ever did. From the male's point of view, I always remember this. I'll never forget this. When we went through the really bad miscarriage, my partner, she needed some counselling, and she received a letter from NHS UK offering her counselling, offering her all the help she can get, and that was really good. I never received a letter. I never received any kind of "are you okay?" Never got asked if I was okay, and that's a letdown for me, because as the partner to the person that I love, I'm going through it too. I'm feeling it too. I'm not only feeling, I mean, I don't feel what she's feeling inside, but I'm feeling everything, emotions that she's feeling inside, and I was offered nothing. It was sad, really. It was kind of, it felt a little bit like, well, you haven't gone through it, so you don't need it. You're the man, you're fine, you should be fine. It was real frustrating at the time. I mean, now I look back, and obviously I still think the way the way I've just said it, I still feel like there was no support for the men at all, for the male side of it, for the partner, from the husband, the other loved one. No support whatsoever. And it didn't just affect us two, it affected the family around us as well. I knew about it. Her mum, my mum, so forth and so on. They all were excited about having those children as well. But after the first and the second miscarriage, I mean, like I said, we had seven. After the first and the second one, we stopped telling people. We stopped telling people we were pregnant because we expected the worst. I mean, we didn't even get help from the first three. I know there's certain guidelines that weren't put in place, but like I said, I'm not faulting any of the midwives that are in. It's a system. The system's all wrong. The support system's all wrong. And that could be because of funding, I don't know. But the reality of the situation is we got no real support, if I'm quite honest with you. And it was probably harder the second time round because we already had my little boy. So it was kind of, because she had that to cope with as well. Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. I mean, she was already tired from my little boy. I was tired. We'd got up a lot with my little boy. He had to be fed every 2 hours initially. Yeah, it was very difficult. There is support out there. I've looked into it myself. There is support out there. And it's not just support for women. It's support for men. It's support for anybody that needs support. I have found information. I have found websites. But it's too little too late now. Do you get what I mean? We've already got the children that we wanted, and we were determined to get the children that we wanted. It's kind of the support there for anybody that needs it, whether it's through a miscarriage or whether it's just through a loved one lost, whether it's, you know, anybody that's passed away in your family. It's a bereavement kind of support. But this is just to let you know that you're not alone. Do you know what I mean? Even as dads, you're not alone. We all go through rough times, we all go through this, but if we stand as one and talk about these issues, it does help. And it not only helps you, but it can help somebody else, you know, who's going through this, who maybe doesn't know the ins and outs, doesn't know what's to be expected. Talk about it. It's hard, and the emotions will run wide and far. Like I said, it's still raw for us, and you know, we have nearly a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and it's still raw for us. I'm gonna add the websites to the bio that comes with the video. I'm gonna add these websites and support groups that you can access anytime. Not just for miscarriages, with one of them that's supports you through any bereavement. But you're really not alone. There's millions of us that have gone through this, and like I said, it's nice to be tough and be strong for somebody, but the reality is, inside, I was cutting up too. Do you know what I mean? I was feeling it too, man. So, as always, comment if you want any comments, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. Peace out, guys.